Craft Brews and Casual Conversations. My guest this week is the one, the only Mr. Chad, aka Super Listener Chad. We're going to be drinking a delicious porter. At least it seems delicious. This is Dudes with Brews on a Porch.
Well, looks like it's time to dive into another great beverage. It's Dudes with Brews on a Porch. Gonna check in with my friend Drew for this week's episode. Who's it gonna talk to? What are they gonna talk about? And what will they drink? What are you waiting for? Get your ass off the lawn and come on up to the porch. It's Dudes with Brews.
Chad, it's been a long time coming.
How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you're on the program via Skype. You had sent me some beer a while ago, and you said this is one of your favorites.
The wife likes it more than I do, but yeah, we both enjoy it. So,
all right, Chad, you got a nice radio voice.
Well, it's good. I got a face for radio, so that works out well.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit when I was doing radio. But you had sent me in the mail. You had smuggled some alcohol to me via the mail. Some Sweet Baby Jesus from DuClaw Brewing Company. Now this is from Baltimore, Maryland, which our friend I think Joe is kind of in that area. He's in Maryland. So what this is a chocolate peanut butter porter with natural and artificial flavors. First brewed in 2011, the chocolate peanut butter porter is jet black in color, tan, rocky head, full body and creamy, luxurious mouthfeel, and it's lightly sweet, malty flavored, is accented with the strong notes of chocolate, coffee, and peanut butter. 6.5 ABVs, 33 on the IBUs, and I smelt it before we started talking, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought it smelled pretty good. I got to give it a taste.
Please.
I definitely get a little bit of the peanut butter to it. It tastes like a porter. It's got the regular, portery type stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get the chocolate, and it's good. It's very smooth. It says everything. It fits everything that it says to be. Now, I'm a little bit stuffy because it's starting to get cold out, unfortunately, here in the land of Wisconsin. Is it cold? You're in Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, Northwest Ohio, and yeah, there's a little bit of snow on the ground today.
I hate snow, man. It sucks. It's not fun, in my opinion. I'm not much of a snowboarder or anything that has to do with snow, so it's no fun for me.
Right.
But we've been in contact from time to time, and you've been a listener to the podcast, I guess. How have you've been dubbed as Super Listener Chad by Joe from the Things Joe Hates podcast. Now, I think I owe you a lot of credit too, and a lot for pumping out my show and getting me new listeners. So, when did you gain this superpower? What animal had to bite you to get the superpower? And why do you do what you do, man?
Well, a couple years ago, I took a new job where I'm working in an office.
Okay.
Where, fortunately, the job I do for most days doesn't require a ton of brain power, so I can sit there and do it and listen to podcasts. And I got started listening, and now, and I get this question a lot. Everyone will ask me, do I really listen to all the podcasts I send out on Follow Fridays? And it's like, yeah, I really do. Now I don't listen to, they're not all daily or weekly or anything.
Right.
Some of them are fairly short. Some of them are once a month. So, but yeah, it is a lot of podcasts. I want to say I found Joe's right when he started, and just I enjoy communicating,
right?
And, through Twitter and stuff, just talking to the people who are actually putting out the podcast, such as yourself, and it just kind of led to me talking to more people, and then pretty soon I started doing the Follow Friday thing, and it started with one page, and now I think I do 6 tweets on Friday to get the full list out. But the nice thing is I've made friends all across the world at this point because of it. So
right, it's pretty crazy, man. Like just the community of the independent podcasts have, and I had a different podcast, like I think it was like 4 years ago or something, and I only did like 8 episodes because I had started, like I had got promoted where I was at. And it just took up a lot of time, and I didn't do it. And then I've always wanted to get back to it. And then about a year ago or so, I started this one, and I was just, shocked. I utilize a lot more tools this time around, such as Reddit, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. And I've really met some cool people. Joe, obviously, one of the ones that I talked to the most, and I think that's probably how you found mine, was through Joe.
I believe so.
And me and Joe met through, I think it was Reddit. I think I made a post on Reddit, and that's how I got in contact with Derek from the Sometimes Geek podcast. That's how I met Joe and the BSP, the Believer Skeptic podcast, and stuff like that. So it's been really cool, and I really enjoy it. And then I heard about you on Joe's show, so then I was like, oh, who's this Chad guy? And you were and then you followed me, I followed you, and man, it's been history. Originally, when we were going to talk, we were supposed to be talking about your wife rappelling from a building because, like, that's something people do, I guess. She did it for charity, though.
She did it for charity. She's a little bit nuts. Well, I mean, you kind of have to be to jump off of a perfectly good 16-story building. But yeah, she did it for charity. It's a cancer research center up in Toledo. Well, not a research center. It is a patient advocate center, I guess. They help with, it's called the Victory Center, and what they do is offer non-medical support to cancer victims and patients.
Yeah.
They supply wigs, they supply massages, they supply a shoulder to cry on. It's everything that you can't get at the doctor or the hospital.
For sure.
Her mom's a cancer survivor. My sister is. I mean, pick anybody. I know you have friends.
Yeah, my friend Al, and then I've had, my grandma's had it, my aunt has had it. My sister might have it. We found out kind of recently, so that's waiting on some things with that. So yeah, man, it impacts a lot of people, and it's really cool that's those services like that are just like very incredibly rare, and it's not something you really think about when you think, as soon as somebody says cancer, you think they go chemo and radiation, but there's a lot of things with it that people need. They need the support. Right. They need the people to talk to, and that's really that really goes to show with any type of disease or illness. A lot of times it's just looked at from a medical aspect versus a humanistic aspect of it. And I think I commend your wife for raising money for that and for doing what you did. I've in the past I did an event called St. Baldrick's where you raise money and you just shave your head. No physical harm could have been done to me as repelling a building, but the video was nuts. Her cape was amazing, and it was quite the thing. Yeah,
it was really neat. She's ready to do it again next year.
Awesome.
She's actually got us signed up to help them with their social media for next year.
Awesome.
Just because with the help of you and everybody else who was retweeting and everything else, she was one of the busiest traffic, web traffic was caused on her part of the site through the entire event. So we volunteered to help them with their social media next year.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, definitely, hit us up and everyone that we know, because we'll spread the word as the best we can, and there's a lot of cool stuff like that. So that's amazing. So I'm glad. I apologize that we didn't get to talk about it, but we're talking about it now, which is good. Cool. Life kicks my ass every once in a while, especially with third shift, man. Whew. I don't know if you've ever worked third shift. It's a whole different beast. And
I worked at the mighty Walmart for a while.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
I've worked all the shifts there.
Were you in management then at one point?
I was an assistant manager.
Me too. Yeah, I started, when I was 16 and worked my way up to being an assistant. And I got to say, I've been out of it for I want to say 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, and I don't miss it.
No, I say I've been out of it for about 2 years, and I still dread going in the store. So,
especially when you know everybody. That's I still shop there because I like cheap things, I guess, or like inexpensive things, I should say. And I just I know everybody. So what would take the average person a half hour takes me an hour because everyone stops me and they gotta tell me they're the latest and greatest gripes, and I listen because I know what it's like.
Oh yeah.
Especially
I did I've done a fair stint of both factory work and retail, and now I'm working in an office for the past couple of years. But the upside to that is, like I said, I get to sit and listen to podcasts all day. So
yeah, I get to listen to podcasts every once in a while at my job, which is kind of like one of the perks of the third shift, because but a lot of times it's pausing, it's restarting, it's doing that. So I don't get to listen to as many podcasts as you do, which I would like to, because there's a lot of great ones out there. I kind of stick to I probably have like maybe 8 or 9 that I'm pretty dedicated to, that I listen to every week. But I'll pop on a new episode of one that you retweet, and then I'll end up liking it, and I'm like, I gotta find a way to fit it in. And like when I worked at Walmart, I worked in a different city, so I it was about a 40-minute drive one way, 40-minute back, so you could really fit those podcasts in quite a bit. Not so much anymore. I live about a 6-minute drive from where I work, which is kind of nice because I do get up pretty last minute and then go to work. But yeah, so tell me a little bit more about yourself, man. You're from Ohio. Are you born and raised in Ohio? Family life, how's all that?
Born and raised in Ohio. Live in a tiny little town, about 1,500 people. Okay. Same town I grew up in. We live, depending on what you know of Ohio, there's like Toledo and Cincinnati. My wife is actually from Cincinnati.
Okay. I had a friend from Wauseon.
I actually live about 45 minutes from Wauseon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, know right where that's at. It's a little northwest of me. Crazy. So, but
Are
yeah,
you
we live
Browns
in the middle
fan?
of the cornfield, hang a left. That's us.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working in a job where I do property appraisals.
Okay.
So I stare at a computer and compare, property deeds and buildings and such all day. So, like I said, kind of mind numbing at times, but it works out well.
Yeah, for sure.
The wife works for an assisted living facility. She's an activities director there, and a dementia practitioner. So she specializes in dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff.
Your wife really is a superhero, man. My goodness.
She is. She's definitely mine.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Let's see. In my spare time, play video games when I can. I guess I live next door to my sister and my nephew. I get to play some games with him occasionally, but he's more of a PC player. I'm an Xbox, though I am getting a PlayStation for Christmas.
Nice. Just
because I played a little bit of the Spider-Man.
Yeah, I haven't played that yet. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've played like all the Spider-Man games that have come out since like the Nintendo 64, and I haven't played this one, and I really want to, and that's one that I could probably play in front of my kids. So yeah, I think I'll make the purchase eventually.
No, it's pretty good. I played about a half hour of it, and I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to ask for a PlayStation for Christmas. So.
Well, they're selling one like a bundle, the one that is like a Spider-Man.
Yep, that's the one I'm getting.
Awesome.
It's already purchased. I just don't get it until Christmas. So.
Oh man, those rules still apply when you grow up. Sometimes, Unfortunately. Uh-oh. Hold on. Are you there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, my computer lagged a little bit, but
not a problem.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. it is pretty similar to what I do, man. I try to play video games when I can. Are you like a kind of RPG guy, or what kind of games do you like?
Right now I play Overwatch, Diablo 3, Forza Horizon, and I just got Black Ops 4.
Okay.
So that was my first foray into the Battle Royale style.
Yeah.
I was playing with a couple guys over Extra Life a couple weekends ago when they had the Extra Life event.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've always like thought about doing it, but I kind of forget about it, and then people started posting about it, and I'm like, oh shoot, I missed the mark again. And I had a hard time staying up 24 hours to game, because I've had times where I've fallen asleep with the controller in my hand. So.
I have too. I couldn't do it. The wife actually stayed up later than I did. She was on playing Jackbox with a group of people from Indiana.
Nice.
So
the gaming community is pretty crazy, man, too. It's just, it's just like this podcast community. You connect with so many different people across the globe. And it's one of the good things about the internet. The internet is a very dangerous and scary place. And one of the cool things, though, is like stuff like this is like where we get to connect with people that, I mean, what are the odds of you and I crossing paths outside of any other, you're in a completely different state. I've never been to Ohio. I don't even think I've ever driven through Ohio. So
fair enough.
Have you been to Wisconsin?
Nope.
No. It's
but see, now I have a reason to go sometime.
Yeah, exactly. Are you a football guy?
Yeah.
You like the Browns?
Unfortunately, yes.
Hey, you got to be dedicated to your home state. Sometimes they broke kind of the curse this year. They've won a few games.
Yeah, it's the best year they've had in a long time.
Yeah,
they've had 4 games that have gone into overtime. So even losing, they at least put up a good fight. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a big Packer fan, and unfortunately, they're not having the greatest of all seasons, which it is what it is. I don't understand people that like take football so seriously that they just absolutely hate every other team. Like I'm not a big Bears fan or a Seattle Seahawks fan. I'm bitter for various reasons, but realistically, like I don't really care. But I know people that get so like in your face and aggressive and just talk so much trash, and it's just like, man, like you realize like this isn't your team. It's just a group of guys playing a sport that most likely aren't even from Wisconsin or from where your team is playing. It's nuts. And I've slowly have kind of lost my passion for football this year, just because I don't get to watch it nearly as much as I once had due to this schedule. And I'm hoping to change that one day, because I like to rekindle that fire, get that joy back for football.
I got into a couple fantasy football leagues a couple years ago, and by the time I was done with those, I kind of got fed up with football in general and kind of backed away from it. Because when it becomes a chore to actually watch the games, it kind of loses its luster.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in 3 leagues this year. I was in 3 last year, and I'm like, I told myself I'm only doing 2. I ended up in 3. The other 2 I've been in. I commissioned one, and the other one I've been in for like 8 years. So I'm not going to break those cycles, because they're with some good friends and everything like that. But yeah, it gets to be confusing, because I forget who's on what team, and sometimes I forget to set the lineups. It's a hot mess. I mean, everyone else that plays me usually ends up enjoying it because they win. but yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I don't know. Like I said, I just woke up a couple minutes before we started doing this. I have to go bartend an event. I still do some stuff for the radio station that I used to work for, and bartending tonight is one of them. We do a thing called Gobble Fest, where we have a bunch of bands come play and stuff like that, and it's usually pretty popular. So I'm not sure if they're paying me, but I'm going to drink some beer. So that's the goal.
So that's usually how I got paid when I was a bartender.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So what are with the podcasting, what's kind of your favorite podcast, and are you ever going to start your own podcast?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, fair enough. I think the Super Listener Chad podcast could be a success. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And because I mean, you really like pump things out, and you get the word out, so it's always pretty cool to see that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like other people that are as active as you. I'm not even that active on Twitter. I need to be. I need to learn from the Super Listener Chat Handbook on how to be an active Twitterer. Like I just sometimes it just overwhelms me. Like I have all these messages. I'm like, oh shoot, who do I talk to? And I miss a lot. Just because life gets pretty busy, and even though this is one of my passions, unfortunately, it doesn't pay the bills. Actually, costs me money. So that's that's how it goes.
Well, have you set up a Patreon yet?
No, I need to.
Yes, you do.
I will eventually, and then I need to get a new laptop, man. I really you've started to experience some of the issues I've had. This thing has been in our possession for quite some time, and it's starting to lose its touch a little bit. We like to refer to, like me and Rob always refer to the laptop kind of as the third host, because it always interferes at one point in time in every episode.
Fair enough. But no, I honestly, I've had people ask me about, oh, are you going to start a podcast? I'm unique at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm just a listener. So everyone's got podcasts. I don't have one. I just listen to them. Yeah. But
and we appreciate
the sad part is I even found a new one today. So
oh, awesome.
And it's someone who I retweet him because we talk on Twitter all the time. He's a DJ up in Toledo. Okay. And I kept telling him he needs to start a podcast, and he immediately let me know that he had started one. It's kind of unique. It's him and another guy, and they're doing an esports podcast.
Okay. Crazy.
So I haven't run across one of those before, so that's interesting at least.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. What's it called?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me that. Give me a second. I've only listened to the first episode. I started following them, so
I think I saw you mention them on Twitter earlier today, potentially. So if you can't find it, we'll figure it out. I can look into it. I can't imagine what kind of Twitter notifications you have.
It's Loser Esports. Okay. At Loser Esports.
Yeah,
is their Twitter handle. The podcast name though it's like Get In We're Gaming or something.
Okay. Well, at Loser Esports, that's where you start on Twitter. Yeah. That's something that you're interested in, esports podcast. I've had so many like different podcast ideas, and I don't know that I've ever talked about this one before, but before I did this one, like years ago, I wanted to do a podcast called Drew's Pissed Off Podcast, and it would be similar to Amanda's with Lady Bitch Times or Things Joe Hates. Only I think Joe, when it comes to talking about things that he hates, I think he's perfected that format, and I really enjoy it because my format is very loose, very free form, where his is he's got a schedule and he sticks to it, and I like it, and I get jealous of it often because me, I just ramble. And
but that's one of the things that makes yours interesting is that you guys will just you'll talk and go off on different tangents and stuff. I've enjoyed the past couple of ones you've had with Rob because they're entertaining. You guys don't stick to any particular topic. I did enjoy the one where you had Joe on, where you guys were talking about the paranormal stuff.
Yeah,
because I'm always interested in that.
Me too. Are you a believer in like ghosts, or are you kind of like the Joe? Yeah. Do you have any cool ghost stories?
Yeah, I've had some. We even had a possible demonic thing in the house, but we got rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, someone gave us an antique mirror as a wedding gift when we got married.
Okay.
And the room we had it in, then you couldn't sleep in it at night because you'd have nightmares, and it just gave off a creepy feeling.
Sure.
So finally, we're like, what do we do with that? What do we deal with? We called the local Catholic church, and like, we have this mirror, and we kind of think there might be an issue with it. And they're like, not a problem, bring it down. Like, yeah, this happens every day. And I'm like, okay, alrighty then. And they gave us some holy water, and they took the mirror and they gave us some holy water and said, here you go. You should be fine. Sprinkle this around, say a couple Lord's Prayer, that kind of thing. And I'm like, all right. So apparently you deal with this regularly.
When I was in college, I was in a creative nonfiction class, and we had to do like an immersion essay where we immersed ourselves in like a lifestyle or a hobby or a subject that we aren't familiar with. And somebody chose exorcisms. And he like interviewed priests of the area, and apparently, man, there's like they do a good amount of exorcisms every single year, and like every state has like a certain amount of exorcists assigned to them.
Yeah.
So these things,
I'm not shocked by that.
That's crazy. And that's the one thing like I don't really like to talk about. So I'm not the most religious of people, but exorcisms scare the shit out of me. Like I don't know what it is, but like I've watched possession movies, and I am just uncomfortable the whole time. I don't like the idea of like just like somebody consuming your body and doing these things, and it terrifies me. It really does. So like I don't really like to dabble into like the Ouija board stuff. I don't like to dabble into any of that. I don't think I've ever done a Strange Brew episode on it. I probably could look into it, but it scares me too much, honestly. Like even that Possession of Hannah Grace movie, I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna watch it. I know it's fake, but I'm not into it.
No, I don't blame you. No, that stuff creeps me out pretty hard. Now, other than that, I think my sister's had a couple ghost run-ins. I've seen UFOs.
Yeah.
I've got a buddy who swears he saw Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you remember, and this is before your time, I'm sure, but do you remember Project Blue Book? I think it happened in the 60s where the government went around denying everything UFO related. And stuff.
Right. Yeah.
My mom actually went to high school with a friend who was in the military and then worked for Project Blue Book. He could never talk about it, but
crazy.
You could ask him, so is any of that real? And he's like, I can't tell you that. Which to me means, it's something that's real.
That's wild. I've always like for a long time, or like this is a couple years ago, like I fell down this big like Area 51 rabbit hole type of thing on the internet, and then I actually downloaded Google Maps, and I like looked at Area 51 via Google Maps. Like you can see the areas, obviously you can't see inside the buildings and everything, but I'm like, this is like crazy. This like something weird is going on here, because they have this high profile area in the middle of the desert where you cross over the line and go too far, you'll get shot. You'll get killed even. Well, it's like they gotta
be. Thing. They don't keep the aliens there anymore. Those are down in Dayton at Wright-Patterson.
Okay.
They're here in Ohio.
There you go. There's
that's the theory you'll hear.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. There's a place in not too far from where I'm at. I forget what it's called, but once a year they have a thing called UFO days, because apparently, and then this big group of people, they go out by like this giant hill and they just look for UFOs and everything. It's just in the middle of this small town, and it's like completely. It's so popular, and the bar that hosts it's all UFO themed, all alien themed. It supposedly has an alien in a jar, and it's something I haven't been to yet, but I want to get to because it sounds completely fascinating. I would like to just talk to the guy and see what he has to say. Obviously, it's something he's passionate about, to start a whole bar and little like festival every year about it. I've had the one experience with the UFO, with the thing in the sky, and I think I talked about it on the show one time. But other than that, I don't have too many ghost stories. I lived in a supposedly haunted house when my dad had the farmhouse. I never really had any experiences. My sister, one time I was with my sister, she looks down the hall and she like gasped and like kind of froze. And I was like, what? And she's like, I just saw a lady walking down the hallway, like an old lady. Obviously, we didn't have too many old ladies hanging out with us at that time. So,
Right.
And she probably would deny it now, but she had like a lot of weird things. Like she saw a lot of weird things, and then at one point, my dad had rented the upstairs out because when he bought the house, somebody lived upstairs. We kind of inherited this guy, and he was a really nice dude. He grew up it was a family farm. He grew up in the house, grew up in the area, so he just stayed there. They rented it out to him. Well, eventually he got married and moved. They started renting out to this other couple, and man, they had like some crazy experiences. They told me about it. I actually did like a radio piece about it when I was in college for one of my assignments, and maybe I'll have to try to find it sometime and maybe just pop it up on an episode just as a little bonus track. It's very amateur, but it's pretty good. I think it sounds all right. But they were telling me these stories where she would wake up and there's a shadow figure at the end of her bed. One time she was taking a shower and all of a sudden a hand came in and like grabbed her thigh and stuff like that, and then nobody was there. And they brought a medium there upstairs in my dad's house, and the medium was like, yeah, this is a portal to and from the afterlife.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, believe, I don't know. I don't really know what the truth is because I never really had those experiences. But like, you would always sometimes hear like footsteps upstairs when nobody was there. So or it could have been. It was a super old house. It was really really old, so it could have been it could have been anything. But my sister even lived up there for a little bit, and she only stayed there for a few months, and just because weird thing, it was just unusual, and my dad was like, so like they lived there for so long, he's just like, yeah, whatever, as long as they're not taking over our bodies and stuff like that. But I want an experience so badly, man. I'm like the Fox Mulder of the real world, and maybe someday I'll get one. Rob wanted to go do an episode from a graveyard, and I was like, I don't know like the rules with that. I think we could probably just bring a microphone or a field recorder in and do it.
You probably have to get permission to be there after dark. Most graveyards tend to close at night, or if you got a nice haunted one, it's open. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if there's any like famously haunted ones, but I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of dead people there, so maybe there's something going on and amongst it. Do you have is there any like specific like haunted or crazy Ohio stories?
Oh God, there's tons of them. Actually, I have I'll say a friend. I met her once. She's an author. She wrote a whole series of books called Haunted Ohio.
Okay. And
there's tons of them. But I do have a friend who works over at the Wood County Historical Museum, which was 100 years ago or so an insane asylum. Mm-hmm. And we had a friend there, another friend, and they were taking a family photo outside the building, bright sunny day. But when you looked at the photo, after they took it, they went home and looked at it later. They're standing in front of this window, and you can see this face pressed against the window. Well, there's no one in that building.
Yeah.
And there's this little girl's face in this window, and it's just kind of washed out and just really super creepy. I mean, it just gave you the chills to look at it. But yeah, that whole place is supposed to be haunted because it was an asylum, and they had a lot of deaths there and stuff back at the turn of the century. And that's in Bowling Green, Ohio, which is about a half hour from here. Great. I know there's lots of different places around. If you like more historical stuff, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Serpent Mounds in Ohio.
I don't think so. No.
They're supposedly from like Native American days, and they're these mounds that are, they from the sky you can see that they're like a giant serpent. Mm-hmm. And they line up with certain things with the equinox and all this stuff, but no one's ever been able to explain why they were built exactly and how they were built and things like that. Kind of not pyramids, but same kind of concept. Is it? There's no real reason for them, but that's kind of neat. There's a bar up in Toledo that's supposedly pretty haunted. I've never been there, but like I'm trying to think. We actually, this is back when I was in college, there was a group of 4 of us who all thought we wanted to grow up to be Ghostbusters, basically. And we got a hold of a map that had all the cemeteries.
Yeah.
And we found this one that you couldn't even drive to. We had to get out and walk like a half a mile back into this woods. All the tombstones were from like Civil War era. And we're out there on a bright, sunny day. Get back in there. We're in the trees. It's shadowy. It's dark. We lasted about 10 minutes before we left because it was so creepy.
Yeah.
It just, it's one of those places where you just get the heebie-jeebies walking around it.
Right.
It was really neat. But yeah, I mean, so I've done some stuff like that. We have the Mansfield Prison.
Okay.
Where they filmed the Shawshank Redemption there.
Sure.
That's supposed to be pretty haunted.
It's a good movie.
I know that's been on like, there was that ghost show for a while with the 2 plumbers. I don't remember.
Like Ghost Hunters?
Yeah, they went there one time.
I didn't know they were plumbers previously.
Yeah, they worked for Roto-Rooter or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're like the Mario Brothers of like the paranormal, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Haunted Ohio books are chock full of stuff like that, and it's actually, I think it's really interesting.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, there's Haunted Wisconsin books as well, and I tried, like, I know somebody that works for like a historical place here in town, and I kind of asked him about it. I probed him a little bit. I was just like, what is there like anything haunted? He's like the house itself isn't haunted, but there's a lot of like items that have spirits attached to it. And I was like, you think I could get in there and like record sometime? And he's just like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that settles that. But I got to get into. I got to find the right person, make the right connection or something sometime. And I'd like to try to do like an episode where we like kind of do a little ghost adventure, go a little ghost hunting and everything like that. I did an episode in that basement. The radio station I worked for apparently is incredibly haunted. And we went in the basement in an episode one time, and nothing happened then. But every year, they bring in like this. I guess you could call her like a medium, or something like that. And she is like she's kind of odd. Yeah. But she like sees some like really crazy stuff. And one of the stories is like she talked about like a janitor walking down the hallway, and when she said this, the person who was doing the host of the morning show was like jaw dropped because he's like there's many times where I hear early in the morning, I hear a set of keys clinking, and nobody's there, and
right,
like it happened a few times when we were doing our morning show, our studio door would kind of like prop open and then close, and I would like because a lot of times like when people who are doing interviews for the other stations, there's 3 radio stations in one building, they would always walk into our door, and then they would see like, oh, that we're talking on air, so they would shut it. But I would always open the door when it propped open like that, and there's a couple times where there's nobody there, and it was like fast enough where you would open it, and the person would still be there. So that was kind of the only experiences I had, but I've heard a lot of crazy stuff about it. But again, I've missed all the good stuff. I don't know what it is about me. I like repel ghosts. I don't like it.
Well, as I say, I know supposedly you have to be sensitive to it to really notice it. So I don't know that I am particularly,
right.
But because I don't, like I said, I can't think of anything major that I've ever seen or experienced. Just occasionally you get the heebie-jeebies from being in an area. And
right.
Well, I remember when me and my wife were looking for a house to buy, we went to this one place and they're showing us around the house, and the realtor's like, oh, and well, here's the door to the basement. And she opened the door and we both stopped and kind of looked, and the wife looks at me and I look at her and she's like, no, not going down there. Nope, can't buy this house. Because it just hit us both. It's like, man, no, that's super creepy. We no, sorry, thanks.
Yeah, you got to go with your gut sometimes. And that's always like kind of a fear of mine too when moving, is like, how do you know this place isn't haunted? The last apartment before I moved where I am now, the lady before me had actually died in the apartment. And it was the nicest apartment out of the ones that we looked at, and I knew previously that the person died because my mom knew her, which is kind of unusual, but so we took it. I was like, whatever. And that night there was a big like storm, and I had the window open, so like the winds were so strong that my door was like banging in my bedroom, and I was like, oh shit. This is the first day where we're gonna this is not good, and then I shut the window and it all stopped. So but yeah, you gotta really go with your intuition. I mean, Rob, he lives in that apartment where that lady was murdered, which is pretty wild. And he's got stuff going on right now. He said that he's been hearing a lot more noises, a lot more activity and things like that. So
now, see, when we moved into our house, we have a couple friends who are Native American, and they came and did a cleansing ritual for us. So
yeah, burn that sage.
Yep. And maybe it's all between my ears, but I've never had creepy feelings in our house.
Right.
I mean, it's an old farmhouse. It's been here 100 years, better than that, and it feels very welcoming. So, like you said, you got to go with your gut. And so,
yeah, I mean. And if it takes burning a little sage, smoking the area up a little bit. I don't. The sage smell good.
Yeah,
it burns.
Actually, it does.
So there you go. So you're lighting some incense essentially, and if it helps clean some evil spirits out, I'm all for it. I would like to be like haunted by a really nice ghost who would like do the dishes, kind of fold the laundry and things like that. Like that would be super convenient.
You want the Mary Poppins of the ghost world,
right? Yeah, you just leave you leave the TV on overnight so they get to watch their programs, but then and in return they do the dishes and do some chores. I'd totally be down with that.
Yeah, if I could only teach my dog to do that, it'd be great. I mean, she gets to watch TV all day, so
Yeah, to be a dog sometimes, it'd be not a bad life.
No, not at all.
Well, Chad, I want to thank you for doing this. We're gonna cut it a little short. I gotta.
No, I know you got stuff to take care of tonight. I get that. That's cool.
Gotta provide people with their booze as they're listening to cover bands, and one of the many responsibilities that I hold here in this great city. Well,
and speaking of beer. Or booze. I do apologize. No one seemed to like the dill pickle beer. But
it wasn't that we didn't like it. It was very like I liked it, but it's just it's a very, in a sense,
strong.
It's gimmicky. Yeah. It was good. It tastes good. It tasted as I expected it. It wasn't overpowering pickle taste, but it's just like that's not something you're gonna go reach for. When you go watch a football game, you're not gonna go in the fridge and be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna watch this game with some dill pickle beer."
Yeah, have a 6-pack of that. Yeah, no.
Yeah. But
I did enjoy it. But yeah, it's a little strong. It's not just a setting and drinking beer. So.
No, not at all. It's not something that you just casually drink. It's you're bringing it out with a purpose. And like I said, I would like to try it. With something like to pair it with some food. Like they said, and it might complement it a little bit better. Whereas we just drank it for the sake of drinking it. So it was. I do thank you for taking the time to do that, man. Like that. I've had some pretty cool people reach out to me via emails, but you are the only person that's ever sent me beer in the mail. And boy, was I was pretty pumped when I saw that package on my front step. I was like, oh yeah, here it is. And I've been saving this Sweet Baby Jesus for the episode that we were going to do because we've been planning this for a while, and it was definitely worth it. DuClaw Brewing Company, the Sweet Baby Jesus Chocolate Peanut Butter Porter. I really enjoyed it. I've grown more of a liking to with the porters, with the darker beers like the stouts and everything like that. I'm still like, if you give me an IPA, you pretty much win my heart. But are you an IPA guy?
Honestly, I don't drink a ton, and I tend to drink a variety of different, I like the different seasonals. I just had some Leinenkugel Pumpkin Patch Shandy that was really good.
Okay.
And I right now have a 6-pack of Shiner Holiday, which tastes like peach cobbler in a bottle almost.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
So if you see that somewhere, I recommend it. It's from Texas. So
okay.
I don't remember what I think I'm on Untapped, and I have a review of it on there.
Okay, I'll look for it. I think you and I would probably have pretty similar access to the same beers. Maybe not so much some of the Wisconsin ones, because I know a lot of the Wisconsin breweries only distribute in Wisconsin, but
and like that dill pickle is from Cincinnati,
right?
And I have trouble finding it even up here in Northwest Ohio.
Yeah,
but so.
Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks again, man, for doing this. We'll have to do it again sometime, and maybe if I'm ever in Ohio, I'll swing by and we can pick up some lunch.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'll ever be there, but maybe someday. Maybe if
not a problem, man. Same thing. If I'm in Wisconsin, I'll let you know.
Yeah, hit me up. I'm an hour away from all like the major cities, so I'm really in the sweet spot of Wisconsin. That is in like up north. Up northern Wisconsin, it's all very woodsy, very huntery.
Right.
I'm not much of a hunter. If you kill a deer, I'll eat it, but I won't kill it. I like to be the ignorant consumer when it comes to food. I don't like to watch the animals die, but they do taste delicious when they do. So
yes, they do.
So, man, yeah, definitely stay in touch. I really appreciate all that you do, because I truly believe that you are a big reason why I've reached like a way bigger listener base, because when you started gaining that momentum, started retweeting, started recommending the show to people, my numbers really did grow, and they're still growing. And I really do credit you for doing that, and I greatly appreciate it, because I really like doing this. And even if I only had 2 listeners, I would still do it. But it's cool to hear from other people, kind of give me suggestions on what they like, what they don't like, in a constructive manner. So yeah, man, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you sending me beer, doing this episode, and I look forward to continuing the journey of Super Listener Chad. Not all heroes wear capes, but I think you should.
Well, my wife does, so that's okay.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll talk soon, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We'll talk soon.
All right. You have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.
Pew pew audio. Goodbye, everyone.